Hey everybody, it's Mr. Canfield. Today we're going to look at lessignment 3-5. This is all about scatter plots. So here we go. Okay. So just a reminder that what you should be doing is you have Savas open right now. I have Savas open right now. Your problem probably looks a little bit different than mine. And I'm just going to click a random answer. I get a final check, similar question. What? Okay, yeah, so you might get a different group of dots than me. So our first question, though, asks, does the scatter plot show a positive, a negative, or no association? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what a scatter plot is and what an association is. So first thing that we're going to want to draw to talk about this is I'm going to draw a little axis, x and y axis. Sorry, axes, that's the plural of axis. And we've got three different types of what we call scatter plots that we're going to come across. So a scatter plot, what it is it's a bunch of dots. That's the really simple version. It's a bunch of dots, but it's a bunch of dots that represent something. So a scatter plot, it's going to have something on the y-axis, it's going to have something on the x-axis, and it usually comes from real-world data. So this is something from the real world. Like, let's say I went out, I took a survey, and I asked somebody, hey, how many, how tall are you? So we'd be like tall down here, like how tall are you? And then over here, how many pairs of shoes do you own? And if we get this data, you can see that in general, the taller you are, the more shoes you own. This is a lie. This isn't real life. I'm just a random example. But if we got that, this would be what we call a positive association or a positive correlation. That as we go right, as x increases, y is increasing a little bit too. And we have something called a trend line that we're eventually going to draw, and we're going to learn how to do, where a trend line is a line that kind of goes through the data. And you can think about that like if the data was, if we kind of encapsulate all this as a blob, is there a line that kind of goes through this blob that represents the blob well? Like if I draw this line, I hope you can see that line doesn't really fit with this blob, but maybe a line like that does, or maybe the line would work better if it like was a little bit steeper, or maybe it would work better if it was a little bit shallower. Oops, I curved it by accident. So that's the idea of what's called a trend line. So we'd call this a positive association. I think they use the word association. Yeah. I am used to using the word correlation, so I might mix those up, but correlation and association, especially in this class, they're basically the same thing. So let's look at another group of dots. So if you look at this group of dots, you'll see that as we go from left to right on the x, the y tends to increase again. So this would be another positive association. I didn't want to, I wanted to, oh, hey, cool. Look, we got an email from Mr. McLean. All right, oops, daisy. The email said, hi, YouTube. No, all right, so let's look at another situation. So what do you think a negative association would look like? So as we go from left to right, we should expect to see the y values to go down. And I am picking random dots here. So this, has a slight negative association. Oh, look at that. Look at all those dots. Yeah, so that's a negative association. So what would happen if we just had blah, 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 a blob? We call this no association or no correlation. This is probably what it would actually look like if you asked people what their height was and asked them how many pairs of shoes they owned, because I don't think height has anything to do with how many pairs of shoes you own. If we had height down here, you might have something like how long are the pants that you wear? That we would expect to go up, but there are some tall people with really long legs and some tall people with not so long legs. But enough about height. I know some of you are sensitive about that topic. So let's go back to the example and see what kind of association this is. Oh, what we can see, is it going up over time? Is it going down over time? Is it staying the same? This one's going down. This one would be a negative association. But, oh wait, I'm not zoomed in enough, am I? Yeah, let me do, what is it, 125 is my normal amount? Yeah. Let me look at a few similar ones. Oh, cool, the same one. Oh, I got it wrong this time. Similar question. Are you serious? There we go. Okay, so what about this one? So this one you should see, like, it's generally rising, so we'd call this a positive association. Also, can I click louder? Sorry, okay. What about this scatter plot? So mine here, well, even though it's not perfectly straight going down, it's going down. It's a negative association. All right, let's see. Now we're getting into some actual problems. So let me copy, paste. Wait, let's see, bam, new. We've got these dots. All right, copy, don't save, paste. Got these dots, and we got these plots. Dots and plots. All right, boom, and then boom. Yeah, I have to remember, if I don't click after I paste something, it goes away. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out which one of these plots fits my dots here. So I'm gonna remind you how these, oh, this isn't the example that it was when I was looking at these earlier. So 1, 1. Remember that 1 is over and then the next one is up. This is the opposite of what slope does. Okay, these are not slopes, these are dots. Slope is where we do rise over run. Slope is where we do up first and then over. So slope, I go 1, or not slope, oh goodness. This dot, let's see, I go 1 over and 1 up, and I should be right there. Oh. So it's not A. Let's see, B has it. C does not has it. Oh, so it has to be B. Let's just like double check a couple more of these, like 5, 5. So I go over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. Cool, so B is gonna be mine here, but oh, B mine. So now let's see what this next part of the question is. How is a scatter plot useful in determining the type of association for a set of data? All right, there's a lot of words here. Let's see if we can figure this out. The scatter plot shows the pattern of how x changes as y increases. So let's back up. X changes as y increases. Well, if you remember earlier, I was saying as x increases, as x increases, as x increases. So I already know it can't be this one. So it's going to be one of these two, because these both say the scatter plot shows the pattern of how y changes as x increases. Scatter plot shows the pattern of how y changes as x increases. Remember, x is our independent variable. So the one that's independent is the one that makes the other one change. So when y increases with x, the association is positive. So that is true. When x increases, y is also increasing. We call that a positive association. And if we look at the next one, when y is increasing with x, the association is negative. So that tells me this has to be B. And they might flip the orders around, so be careful. I don't need to go any further, though, but the rest of this statement will be true. And remember, I know that because if I only have 3 options, I'm now able to rule out this one because of that, and then I'm able to rule out this one because of that, then the leftovers have to be true. If it's a test, what I do is I go through and I check the rest of the statement out, because if it's a test, I don't want to open myself up to any room for error, because I make a lot of silly mistakes. There's another part. Oh, what? So my scatter plot was this. What's a positive association then? Okay, this is a little bit better. So it still has 1, 1. So it's going to be either A or C, because they both have a 1 and then something low. So I might need to go and check some other points. Well, what about 6, 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if that's 18, 10 is going to be about halfway. So I would expect to see a point there. I don't. What about on C? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About halfway. So that tells me this would be C. And then y changes, x increases, and then I want a positive association. So, okay. So mine is still a positive association here. Okay. Let's keep going. Oh, I almost clicked similar question. Oh, I wonder if you guys do that. Do you ever accidentally click similar question? You have to do the question over again if you want points for it. For the table below, make a scatter plot of the data. Describe the type of correlation the scatter plot shows. Okay. Jeans sales. Woo. Average price. Number sold. $21 is 114. So when the price is 21, we need 114. All right. I am going to just steal one of these. Let's see. At 21, let's see. So 45 is the whole way. Is it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45? Okay, so it's going by 5s. So at 21, that's 5, 10, 15, 20. So it'll be right about here. And then 114, that's 140, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Oh, no. Oh, but it's 7, which, so is it 20, 40, 60, 80, 100? There we go. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. So 114 would be somewhere in here, right? Wait, let me see it again. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Oh, so it actually would be like halfway between those two. So I am looking for a dot like right here, right? Because it lines up with those two. So looks like A doesn't have that. Looks like B might. C doesn't have that, and D, okay, and D doesn't have that. So for me, B is the only one that has that. If there were more than one that had that dot, I would go on and check other dots until I had multiple dots. Okay, some people would say, this is tricky. I kind of feel like it's a negative correlation, but then this dot, we call this dot an outlier. It doesn't really fit the rest of the data. I'm going to see if a negative correlation is... Okay, so I don't know. I still kind of think this is a negative correlation. Just because there's this one outlier, there's not really enough data here. 4 points is not a ton of data. Scatter plots usually have tons and tons of points. So, all right. So mine is no correlation. All right. So we'll do another one. This one starts at 1 comma 40, so it's not A. 1 comma 40, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, nope, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Okay, so 1 comma 40 should be right about here. Doesn't look like B's got it. 1 comma, oh, this one goes to 44. Well, then it's gonna be C, right? Because this is at like 45, and this is at like not that. Okay. Oh, I gave you guys 2 of these. When y increases with the, oh wait, so we want y changes as x increases. So it's not C in this one. When y increases with x, we call that a positive association. That's silly. I saw it was a multi-part question. I thought it was more interesting than that. So I got another negative association. All right. Here we go. Here we go. So we've got a bunch of options here. One of these is a scatter plot with the trend line that's appropriate. So let's start by finding which of these scatter plots are okay. So we need 1 comma 6. So we're going by, all right, 1 comma 6. Oh, looks like we're going by 2s here. So 2, 4, 6. So I want this spot right here. So it looks like I can rule out I can rule out A, I can rule out E. Any of these that don't have, let's see, so it looks like these 4 in the middle all have that, have those dots. So it's gonna be one of these 4. And if you look at these lines here, only one of these lines really fits with the data. So this one goes through one of the points exactly, but then look at how far away all these other points are. This one doesn't hit any of them, but it's kind of far away from these end ones here. You know, our trend, you know, is going off somewhere here, and our line's just like, meh. This one, I hope you can see each of these points, even though most of them are not on the line, they're all very, very close to the line. And then this one's just silly. But again, a lot of times people get confused. They'll see it going through one of the points and think, oh, that's a good trend line. No, no, no. The trend line is supposed to follow the trend, to follow the group. So that's going to lead me to believe that C is the appropriate answer. All right. Now it wants me to find the equation. Here's the thing. There's a way to find this equation by hand. What we do is we use the calculator. And in the next video, I'm going to go through the long and involved process of using the calculator to find the trend line, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. So this wraps up the first part of the lesson. Continue on to part 2 when you're ready.